Welcome to Yehoshua's Daf Yomi Shiur, where the Daf continues daily until the complete revelation of Mashiach ben David, Messiah the son of David. We are studying Chullin 97 today. 97 the whole way through, A and B, although usually it's A and two separate videos. Today, since side A is quite short, we'll go through the whole thing. And 97 is a very unique word. If you might know from my other videos that I'm a big gematria enthusiast, and a big part of my study, my learning techniques and methods are through gematria. So one of the areas of gematria that I specialize in is in English gematria, and some people might not have heard of that English gematria. Might think it's something. Like, what is that? I mean, Hebrew gematria, I understand, it's from the Torah, but what is English gematria? Well, it might be surprising to find that there are some amazing connections in English. Numerical values, if you do A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, and you use it in together with the Hebrew. So page 9, the reason why I say that is that 97 is the number of this daf. It's a very interesting, but I also like to specialize in words that match the same in English and in Hebrew. For example, there is a system of Hebrew gematria where the standard universal cipher, where it's Aleph is 1, Bet is 2, Gimel is 3, etc. up till Yud. It goes by ones, and then from Yud until Tzadi, it goes by tens, and then from Kuf until Taf it goes by hundreds. However, in the English cipher, it just goes ordinarily by ones the whole time. And sometimes you have words that are the exact same word in English as in Hebrew. And I like to focus on those. And 97 is one of those words. The word Ben Adam, son of man, in Hebrew is equal to 97. Adam is 45 and Ben is 52. That's 97. But if you do in English, son of man, S-O-N, is 48, O-F is 21, and man is 28. That equals 97 as well. Son of man, let me check if it's the son of man or it's son of man. Let me see here. Son of man, I'm sorry, just son of man. Son of man is 97. Okay, and Ben Adam is 97. Whether you go in English or whether you're in Hebrew, it's the same. I'm very interested in these things. So that's that. With that, let's start Daf 97. Shani chelev dimefa. The Gemara answers forbidden fat is different from the sciatic nerve because its flavor permeates throughout the animal, unlike that of the sciatic nerve. Okay. ובחילה ועשו, אמרה בבר חנה ודהב וכמה רבי יוחנן בקנישנה דמעון בגדין שצלעו וחילה בו ועשו ושאלו ולרבי יוחנן אמר כהלף יאכל עד שמגיע לחילה בו ההוא כך הוא שווה. The Gemara challenges Rav Huna's statement, and in the case of a kid roasted with its forbidden fat, is the meat forbidden? But didn't Rabbi Bar Chana say there was an incident that came before Yochanan in the synagogue of the town of Ma'on, where a young goat was roasted with its fat, and the people came and asked Rabbi Yochanan about the status of the meat. And he said, peel away the meat and eat until you reach the forbidden fat. This indicates that the flavor of the fat does not permeate the entire animal which is roasted. The Gemara answers that kid was lean and had so little fat that its flavor did not permeate throughout the animal. Okay, the people there were there as a thing. Okay, they knew. Rav Huda bar Yehuda Amar Kuli Yavachel Bahava Hushaya Ravin Barav Adam Mar Kit Be'il Bas Hava Yasu Shailu Rav Yochanan Yamalahu Litame Kalipila Aramaa. Rav Huna bar Yehuda said that was the case of a kid, and you have a young goat roasted with its forbidden fat. And Rabbi Yochanan permitted it to be eaten because there is a membrane that separates the fat from the kidney and prevents the fat from penetrating the kidney. Ravin bar Rav Adas said, that was a case of a small non-kosher fish known as kilkit, which fell into a stew pot, and then they came to ask Rabbi Yochanan about its status. And he said to them, let a Gentile cook taste it in order to determine whether the flavor of the non-kosher fish has permeated the entire mixture. Amar Rav Mereshave Kokashili Haditanya Kadera Shibishul Babaso Loivashil Bachelev Chalavim Bashil Benoizim Tam Tuma Loibashil Bachulin Vim Bishel Benosin Tam. Rava said initially that which is taught in the following Braita posed a difficulty for me with regard to a pot in which one cooked meat, one may not cook milk in it. And if he did cook milk in it, the meat absorbed by the pot renders the milk forbidden if it imparts flavor to the milk. Similarly, if one cooked truma in a pot, one may not cook non-sacred food in it, and if one did cook non-sacred food in it, the absorbed truma renders the food in the pot sacred if it imparts flavor to it. Bishlo truma taim le kohen elabasar bechalav my taim le hashtad amar Yochanan Samchinan akapila aramaam hachanami samchinan akapila aramaam. Rav explains, granted in the case of a pot used for truma, a priest who is permitted to partake of truma can taste the non-sacred food subsequently cooked in the pot in order to determine whether the truma imparted flavor to the non-sacred food. But in a case where it is not known whether meat imparted flavor into milk, who can taste it? If the meat did impart flavor to the milk, it would be forbidden for any Jew to consume the milk. But now that Rabbi Yochanan said we rely on a Gentile cook in the case of kilkit, we also rely on a Gentile cook to taste it and say whether the meat has imparted flavor to the milk. The Gemara summarizes the guidelines that determine when an item cooked with another item affects the status of the mixture. Rava said, the sages said that there are cases when one relies on a Jew tasting the food, and the sages said that there are some cases when one relies on a Gentile cook to taste the food. Now we're turning to 97b, continuing right on, right through. And the sages said that there are cases where the mixture is permitted if there is 60 times as much permitted food as forbidden food. Therefore, in a case where the mixture is a type of food mixed with food not of its own type, so that there is a difference in taste between the two components, when there are Jews for whom the mixture is permitted, one relies on a Jew tasting the mixture. This is the halacha when truma is cooked with non-sacred food. When the mixture is potentially forbidden, for example, in the case of meat cooked with milk, one relies on a Gentile cook to taste it. And if the mixture is composed of a type of food mixed with food of its own type, where one cannot ascertain whether the forbidden component has imparted flavor, or if it is composed of a type of food mixed with food not of its own type, when the mixture may be forbidden, and it is a case when there is no Gentile cook available to taste it, the mixture permitted if there is 60 times as much permitted food as forbidden food. Ravina Asa Ravacha Baravashi Shari Baravashi Bashari. The Gemara 96b cited Shmuel's opinion with regard to the thigh of an animal that was roasted or cooked with the sciatic nerve still inside. The Gemara relates the following incident. There were those animal thighs that were salted in the home of the exilarch with the sciatic nerve still inside. Ravina ruled that they were forbidden, whereas Rav Achabar Ashi ruled that they were permitted. They came and asked Rav Ashi to render a decision. He said to them, my father permitted the meat In such circumstances, Amrei Rav Acha barav Ravino, mai datich, Diamar Shmuel Marichare, hu kiroteach, kavush, harei hu kimuvushal. Rav Acha bar Rav said to Ravina, what is your reasoning in prohibiting the meat? Is it because of what Shmuel said? A salted food item is considered like a boiling hot food item, and a food item marinated in vinegar, brine, or the like is considered like a cooked food item? Perhaps, based on this statement of Shmuel, you can consider the salted thighs as though they have been cooked with their sciatic nerves, in which case they are forbidden. But didn't Shmuel also say, 96b, they taught that the thigh is entirely forbidden only when it was cooked with the sciatic nerve inside it? But if the sciatic nerve was roasted inside the thigh, one may peel away the meat and eat it until he reaches the sciatic nerve, and then he removes the nerve. Kiroteach dikoma, kiroteach dimuvushal. Mi dikoma kavush hareu kimuvushal. Miklan droteach ditsali kamar kashya. And if you would say, what is the meaning of the phrase like a boiling hot food item that Shmuel said? It is like boiling hot food that was cooked rather than hot food that was roasted. And therefore, if the thigh was salted with its sciatic nerve, the entire thigh becomes forbidden. This is not a convincing claim because, from the fact that Shmuel said a food item marinated in vinegar, brine, or the like is considered like a cooked food item, it may be understood by inference that when he said that salted food is like boiling hot food, he was saying that it was like boiling hot food that is roasted. The Gemara concludes this poses a difficulty to the opinion of Ravina. Amar Rav Chanina kashin misharim berotev uvakefa uvachatichot uvakadera yikadamri b'kadera atzman yikadamri b'mai dibala kadera. The Gemara elaborates on the statement that if permitted and forbidden foods are cooked together, and there is 60 times as much permitted food as forbidden food, the mixture is permitted. Rav Chanina says when they assess whether or not there is 60 times as much permitted food, they assess the volume of the broth, the deposits, the pieces of permitted food cooked in the pot, and the pot itself. The Gemara explains this last point. There are those who say this means that one includes the volume of the material of the pot itself, and there are those who say it means that one includes the volume of that which the pot has absorbed from the permitted food, which when meat cooks, its volume decreases, and some of the meat that constitutes that discrepancy is absorbed into the size of the pot. Amar Rabbi Abahu, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Kol Yisuan Shebetoira, Misharinan, Keilu Hein, Batzal Kaflot. Kaflot. I don't think I've ever come across that word before. Anyway, the Gemara continues its discussion of nullification. Rabbi Abahu says that Rabbi Yochanan says with regard to all forbidden foods that are forbidden in the Torah, they are cooked with permitted food, and one cannot tell whether they have imparted flavor to the permitted food. We assess the mixture as though the forbidden food were onion or leek. That's the word kaflot, leek. If that amount of onions or leeks would impart flavor to the permitted food, one must assume that the mixture is forbidden. Amar le Rabbi Abba le Abaye ולשערינו בפלפלין וטבלין דאפילו מאלף לא בטלין אמר שיעור חכמים דיינו עשין טעם באיסורין יוסף מבזה וכפלות. Rabbi Abba says, Rabbi, but let one assess the mixture as though the forbidden food were pepper or other spices which are even more pungent, in which case they would not be nullified even if they were mixed with 1,000 times as much permitted food. Rabbi said to him, the sages ascertained that with regard to forbidden foods, there is nothing that imparts more flavor to a mixture than onion and leek. I noticed that when I had a soup, a vegetable soup, I could taste the onion. The onion has something in it that almost is like a natural MSG. I just noticed that myself. It's like it has a very strong flavor enhancer, like vibe to it. That's just the impression that I got. But anyway, Amr Rab Nachman gid bashishim gid min haminyan kechal bashishim. Uchal bin haminyan beitza bashishim and beitza min haminyan. The Gemara continues to discuss the nullification of forbidden foods. Rav Nachman says a sciatic nerve that was cooked with kosher food is nullified if the mixture contains permitted food that is 60 times the nerve's volume, and the sciatic nerve itself is not counted in that number because it cannot nullify itself. If an udder, which is meat but also contains milk, is cooked with other meat, the milk is nullified if the meat is 60 times its volume, and the udder itself is counted with the rest of the meat. That is utterly interesting. I couldn't help myself. If the egg of a non-kosher bird is cooked with kosher food, it is nullified if the permitted food is 60 times its volume, and the egg itself is not counted in that number, as it cannot nullify itself. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Alright. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak bereid Rabbi Sharshiyam, ucharas mo'asur v'ina falikadecha echez oiser. Rabbi Yitzchak, the son of Rabbi Sharshia, says, in the case of an udder cooked with meat, even if the meat is 60 times the volume of the milk, so that the meat is permitted, the udder itself is forbidden. It's utterly forbidden. Because the meat imparts flavor to the milk contained within the udder, which then renders the udder forbidden. And you must throw the udder in the gutter. And if the udder subsequently falls into another pot, it also renders the contents of that pot forbidden, unless they are 60 times the volume of the udder. Amar Vashi ki yavinan be Rav Kahana ibahilan ki misharinan b'dinei misharinan oy ma'inin avik minei misharinan. Rav Ashi said, when we were in the study hall of Rav Kahana, a dilemma was raised before us. When we assess whether the contents of the pot are sufficient to nullify the udder, do we assess whether the pot contains 60 times as much permitted food as the entire volume of the meat of the udder itself, or do we assess only that milk which came out from the udder, since the udder itself has been removed from the mixture? It has been utterly removed. Pshita dividei misharinan di'i b'madin afik v'neimena yadinan elav mi'adad nafal l'kaderach yeso. The Gemara responds, it is obvious that we assess the entire volume of the meat of the udder itself, as if we were to attempt to assess only that which came out of it. How would we know how much came out? The Gemara objects, if that is so, then if the udder falls into another pot, it should not render the food in that second pot forbidden, because it has been assumed that all the milk in the udder has been released into the first pot. The Gemara explains, since Rabbi Yitzchak, son of Rabbi Sharshia, says that even if there is 60 times as much meat in the pot as there is milk in the udder itself is forbidden. So clearly the sages equated the udder with a piece of non-kosher meat. Consequently, the reason the udder renders the contents of the second pot forbidden is that the udder is intrinsically forbidden, not because of the milk that is released into the pot while it is being cooked. Beitza b'shishim v'en beitza min aminyan. Amar le'rav idi barabin le'bayad le'memra diha b'daima v'amriyin shiki ma'ya le'baya b'alma. The Gemara addresses Rav Nachman's statement that if the egg of a non-kosher bird is cooked with kosher food, it is nullified if the permitted food is 60 times its volume, and the egg itself is not counted in that number, as it cannot nullify itself. Rav Idi Baravin said to Abaye, is this to say that the forbidden egg imparts flavor to the food with which it is cooked? But isn't it true that when people want to indicate that food is tasteless, they say, this is like a mere egg water? This indicates that egg does not impart flavor. Amar le, hachabay skinan, Abai said to him, here we are dealing with... I'm surprised that my comment on that is, I'm surprised that Rabbi Idi Bar Avin would use as weight for a halachic decision just an expression that people say. They say it's like egg water, but why does that determine whether halachically there's flavor or not? It's just because people say something? Okay, that's just a question I have.